So, hello and welcome today to a new edition of CESI Talks. My name is Mateusz Wandrzejewski. I am the CESI Youth Representative, which is the youth organization of CESI. And with me today is Mrs. Iona Papageorgiou. We as CESI are partners of the European Parliament, and together we are running a project which is called We EP, We European Parliament. And with this project, we try to bring closer the work of the European Union, especially of the European Parliament and all of his different programs that it's having, closer to our workers, to our members, and to all of the EU citizens. And Mrs. Papageorgiou is a legal scholar and doctoral researcher at the No Bias Project. It's Artificial Intelligence Without Bias, a Marii Skłodowska-Curie Innovative Training Network. And it's founded by the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Program. The aim of the project is to research and develop novel methods for AI-based decision-making without bias by taking into account ethical and legal considerations in the design of technical solutions. Something very, very interesting and really looking up to the future. So let's get straight to the interview. Mrs. Papageorgiou, what has the European Union and particularly the European Parliament done so far in the field of artificial intelligence?
First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. Well, the development and deployment of cutting-edge, secure, trustworthy AI is certainly one of the top priorities of the European Union, which has been reflected in several ongoing and upcoming actions taken in this regard by the European institutions. Through high investments in AI technologies, funding projects in AI research and innovation, production of guidelines, reports, and regulatory proposals, the European Commission and the European Union in general has paved the way for the creation of an ecosystem of trust and of excellence in artificial intelligence. Focusing on the ethical and legal aspects of AI, where also my expertise lie, I would like to draw the attention to the Commission's recent proposal for a regulation laying down harmonized rules for artificial intelligence. This resolution responds to explicit requests from the European Parliament and the European Council for the creation of a legal system that takes into account ethical principles. Specifically, with a resolution on ethical aspects on artificial intelligence, robotics, and related technologies, the European Parliament recommended that the Commission takes legislative action in order to harness the benefits of AI while ensuring the protection of ethical principles. This resolution and the included recommendations have been explicitly taken into account by the European Commission for the very recent proposed regulation, the first ever legal framework on AI. And this is just a part of the whole considerable work of the European Parliament in the context of AI, which includes various AI-related resolutions on liability, copyright, education, criminal matters, and more.
Very interesting. Okay. I mean, I'm happy to hear that we are doing the progress and having already the first framework for this set. It's something very important in order to continue working on artificial intelligence. And what would you see, like, where are the first conclusions of your research regarding to discrimination in AI technologies? Because so we can all imagine that not everyone is so much in favor of it also.
Well, it might be too early to talk about conclusions in such a complex and fast-growing field of research. However, I would like to point out a couple of important observations that have been following me throughout my research. First of all, while we often assume that AI processes are fully automated and thus somehow objective or non-intuitive, in reality, there are various deliberate and normative choices made by humans involved throughout the whole process of funding, building, and deploying AI systems. In that regard, when we are talking about regulating AI, we still mainly regulate human behavior. And to clarify, the result the discriminatory result of AI systems is at a great extent a result of the biased data we have produced with our practices as a society and then fed them to the system, and also a result of the design choices we consciously or unconsciously make while we build or deploy those models. It is important thus to remember that we are not just talking about a technical issue, but an ethical, legal, and societal issue as well. That's the reason that algorithmic equality needs to be addressed through an interdisciplinary and intersectional approach. This requires the contribution not only of computer scientists, data scientists, or the tech industry, but also of social scientists, gender experts, lawyers, policymakers, and last but not least, the civil society. Minorities and individuals who might be negatively affected by those systems. Women, ethnic minorities, the LGBTQ+ community, people with disabilities need to be involved in the debate and the whole AI ecosystem, and should be provided with the ground and the space for that.
Very interesting. I mean, it's important what you stressed out at the end, to have a wide range of participants in order to get all the different important views that they represent and to stress them out. So yeah, okay, very, very interesting. And tell us maybe, what do you think is the value of unbiased algorithms for the world of work? And maybe also think about like the platform workers, the whole new economy.
In order to answer this question, we need to consider the following points. First of all, algorithms are being widely employed by organizations and businesses in order to make impactful work-related decisions. And they are already transforming the labor market worldwide by mediating employment relationships, deciding what the pay is, who gets interviewed, hired, promoted, or even fired. And as the modern economy continues to change, it is clear that algorithms will play a growing role in the world of work. On the other hand, there seems to be a consent that algorithms are not free of bias or errors, and AI-based decision-making might turn out to be discriminatory and perpetuate or even magnify pre-existing structural inequalities. Their design and deployment without technical or legal safeguards in place might systematically disfavor minority and vulnerable groups, deprive them of job opportunities, interfere with the equal pay principle, and thus lead to unequal access to employment, income insecurity, and finally algorithmic marginalization. Those risks multiply in the case of platform workers who do not yet easily fit the established legal concepts and thus face more obstacles in exercising their rights. Going back to your question, the value of unbiased algorithms becomes apparent in order to tackle those risks and ensure the protection of workers and their rights. Debiasing AI appears to be even more beneficiary for platform workers and the context of platform work, which is almost exclusively based on algorithms. Besides, we should not forget that traditional employment practices and human-based decision-making can be also tainted by stereotypes or prejudice, which are often masked and difficult to prove. Algorithmic systems might offer ways to detect and measure such discriminatory practices, or even prevent them by computational means. And while being used as an equality-enhancing tool, might level the field for those who have typically found it harder to access work opportunities. Yes. And having said that, I would like to add that we need to keep in mind that AI or machine learning applications are not a panacea for all sorts of biases or inequalities. As biases are deeply embedded in our society, it will be an illusion to believe that fairness can be achieved only through technical solutions. Therefore, tackling inequalities and stereotypes in the real world remain of crucial importance in order to finally establish equality in the labor market and the society as a whole. Every step towards that direction might then be reflected in the digital world as well.
Thank you. I mean, these are very, very nice last words that you added. That's right. I mean, we cannot fight inequality only by believing that in the future world of AI, it will just disappear. We have to fight and work against it already now and on the labor markets that are existing now. Mrs. Papagiou, thank you very much for this great interview, for your time and your participation today. We are already at the end of the time. I wish you all the best for the project, for your future work. And it's very interesting. I mean, basically, you really work for the future of us. And yeah, I'm happy to hear later again from you to see what other outcomes you're having. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure for me too. Thank you.